Hello my friends, James Martin here, aka Made by James, and can you believe that Affinity is free forever? That is, I still can't quite get over it. It's absolutely mad. So for anybody that doesn't know me, I'm an author, I'm a designer, and I'm a brand rethinker. I've been in the industry for about 20 odd years, and I'm the creative partner at Lincoln Design Co. and founder of, obviously, Made by James. At Lincoln, we work with Disney, Mattel, Hasbro, and some of these fantastically cool brands, and I'm excited about today because I'm going to show you in and around the new app that is Affinity. So, I don't want to waste any more of your time. What we're going to do in this first section is we're going to go through the all-in-one app experience and the new UI. So, let's not mess around, let's crack on. So, my friends, here we are in the new home screen display of Affinity. And as you can see here, it's super easy to navigate the very standard presets that we all need. I particularly like this little icon up here where you can preset you can orientate the preset, change the preset orientation. Let's say that. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to open my classic video size 1080 by 1920, and I'm going to click that, and we're going to open this bad boy here. So what you'll notice straight away in the top left hand side of the screen is now everything is an all-in-one app. You don't have to learn 3 different apps. You can easily navigate between Vector Studio, Pixel Studio, and Layout Studio. So it's almost impossible to get lost, which is like absolutely delicious. A first time ever in a design tool, which is great. So back up to the top here, like I mentioned, Vector, Pixel, Layout. So we've got our vector work that happens in here. Then we've got our kind of photo-based, raster-based stuff. And then we've also got our kind of print, EPUB space in the layout here, which is absolutely banging. And I'm going to show you how all these kind of work together as we start to build the badges out later on. But another super cool thing that I want to share with you right now is the ability to create your own studio. So if you hit these 3 little buttons to the right of layout, you'll see all of these other studios that I can add. I'll run through those a little bit later as well. But you can create your own studio here. And what I can do is I can call that, let's just call it MBJ, just for the funsies of it. You could change color. I could also add my own image, but just to do this quickly, I'm going to just scoot through it. And I can even give myself a nice little icon and everything and just push create. And what you'll notice now in the top left-hand side of the screen, I can now switch between Vector, Pixel, Layout, and MBJ. And within this, I can now customize and add all my own tools, the ones I actually only want to use. But not only that, what I can do is I can actually customize this top bar. So by right-clicking on my mouse, I can go customize toolbar, and I can start to like drag and drop all of these different elements in, like the boolean. I've already got the align up there, but maybe I want the kind of rotate options. I can start to put those in there and bits and pieces like that. So this is absolutely dreamy for people like myself who have a very standard set of tools that they use over and over again, because I do a lot of logo work, obviously. So this whole studio arrangement is just going to make my life so much easier. And I'm going to show you in the kind of next little section of this. I'm just going to smash some stuff together and start to show you a few of these tools and what they do. All right, so let's crack on. Right, team, what we're going to do now is we're just going to mess around, plop in a load of things onto the screen. I'm going to show you the pen tool, some shape tool. I'm going to switch between pixel and vector just to mess around a little bit, just so you can start to see everything and how the layer palette works and everything as well. So as you can see here, we've got all of these, the classic shape tools. I'm just going to put like a little slightly lighter background, so it's not so bright, on my eyes. I'm going to use a little gradient tool here, as you can see, and we can start to like mess around with different colors here. And then we've obviously got the saturation here. We can add more white, more black, and then highly saturated here using this lovely little color wheel. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to change the bottom color as well here to like a jazzy little blue. And what you'll see here is we've also got like, we can mess around with like radial blurs here, and it's just a really fun way to interact with stuff. And we can also mess around with the gradient tool here, which is great. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to show you very quickly some of my favorite tools, like the pen tool. What I will probably need to do is just make sure that this is on a stroke, and what I can do is I can up this here, as you can see. I'm going to keep them black just so it's easy for you to see what I'm doing. But then we've got these lovely little stroke whip tools, and I think this is something that's also really, really nice about the UI, is that there's all these little tips that pop up whenever you hover over a tool. But as you can see here, I can pinch and play with different parts of the stroke, which is a really nice touch, and it's all happening live, which is delicious. The pencil tool is another one I use. There's also this lovely thing called stabilizer. So what you'll see here is I can actually very smoothly move this pencil tool, sorry, but if I wanted to go the other way, I can just whip it back round, which is perfect for like super accurate kind of line work. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to do another fun thing here, and what you'll notice here is what I can do is I can very quickly make sure I'm on that, change the color to something else, and you'll see it's just a really nice, very smooth process, which is just delicious. What we can do as well here is we can start to add in like a few little layers, and I can move myself into Pixel Studio now here, and I can just make sure that I'm highlighted here, and I can multiply this, and I can copy and paste that and add another one over here, which is really, really nice. But as you'll see, I've moved into the Pixel Studio now, so I'm kind of in that kind of photo editing version, and I can, as you see here, like move the layers around and do all of that wonderful stuff here. And very finally, very quickly, I don't want to spend too much time here, but this is too cool not to show you. This is my big old face coming in here, which is great. And what I'm going to do, I'm in Pixel Studio here, I'm just going to new layer adjustment, make this guy like black and white, but as you'll see, that black and white layer is just because it's on the top layer, it's affected the whole lot, but I can actually move that adjustment layer in the layers panel on top of me, and it just affects me. And this is a really nice thing in the Affinity Studio, how easy it is to kind of mask and apply certain filters to certain layers. Now, before I crack on and move more in detail into the vector side, what I want to do is I just want to show you something that's super cool. I can minimize my face all the way down to like this big here, and you'll see that it's very, very pixelated, because what I can now do, I'm actually looking at it in pixel mode, but I can actually look at it in vector mode, and you can see how sharp that goes. But look how non-destructive this is. Look how non-destructive this is. This is me at like 10 pixels high. and I'm still super, super crisp. And that is Affinity at its best. So I'll just make this a little bit bigger. Golly gosh, I forgot to show you some absolute game changer things. And this one particular thing, which you're all gonna go potty for. So in my little assets space down here, I've got a logo I've been sent by some really bad person. His name's made by James, but he's only given me a JPEG. But now, as I'm in Vector Studio, what I can do is I can hit Vector in the top bar and image trace. Bam! And look, I've got this little thing down here where I can mess around, apply. I can do also split screen so you can kind of see what it was before. Let me just do that very quick. So you can see here on the left-hand side, I've now got the vector, and the right-hand side, I've got the JPEG, which is delicious. Apply, and as you can see, I can now clip this, delete that, and I have a fully scalable vector. Game changer. So right, I'm not going to mess around anymore. What we're going to do now is we're going to go into the badges and we're going to start playing in the Vector Studio, and I'm going to start building some of these bad boys all the way up from sketch to vector to layout to all of the goodness. It's going to be great. Right, let's go. Right. Team, we are now going to mess around for 10 minutes or so in Vector Studio. What I have done is I have taken pictures of my sketches, of the illustrations of the badges, and I've brought them into my asset library, and I brought Mr. Punky Funky Smiley Face in. But what I want to do is I want to create multiple artboards, so I've got them all next to each other so I can work on them individually. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over to the left hand side here and get my artboard tool, and you'll see these lovely little plus signs pop up. So I'm just going to go bang. Then I'm going to go bang, but I don't want them all alongside. I want 3 below as well. So I'm going to go bang, 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 like that. Those were sound effects. They were not in Affinity. So what we have here is we have the smiley face. So I'm going to bring in the lone wolf. What I should do, to be fair, is click on the artboard first. Naughty James. And I can bring this guy in here, and I'm going to click on artboard 3 and bring in the fist with the paintbrush and the pencil on the other side. Bang. Right, then I'm going to go to the crazy detailed eye. I'm going to bring him in here. Then I'm going to go artboard 5. I'm going to bring in the liberate your files, people. Liberate your files. Bring him in. And then the weirdo, my favourite, the pencil banana. Isn't she lovely? Right, so now I have all of my illustrations on different artboards. I know how much you love artboards because I love artboards, but look, I don't have time to get all of these vectored up, so I'm just going to focus on Mr. Smiley over here. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to drop the opacity of him, and I'm also just going to put a little white background on that artboard. As you can see, it's black right now, so I'm just going to make it white, and I'm going to drop it behind the smiley face. I love how nice this layers palette is. So now I can start messing around here. So circles, classic boolean now. So I'm going to get my ellipse tool. I'm going to make my circle shape, and bear with me as I do this rather quickly. I'm going to make that a black fill. As you can see, I have got to put that above, because what was happening there, as you can see in this layers palette, which is good, the opacity on the background was being added to the black circle. So if I just add that above the background, you can see that changes. But I do want to drop that down just a little bit so I can see what I'm doing. Maybe I'll change the color just so it makes it easier. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to copy and paste that layer on top. And then I can just move this guy down and just make sure I've got the kind of right weight. So I've got the weighted bottom with a slightly smaller top. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to now highlight both of those layers, and I'm going to use my subtract tool. And now I have my wonderful, and I'm going to make that black now, and I'm going to up the opacity to back where it was. So now I have that lovely shape. So boolean, banging, done. Now I'm going to go and get my pen tool, and I'm going to start drawing his juicy, delicious little smile. And I just need to just grab the node tool here and just make sure it's just a little bit nice, a little bit tighter there. And I just want to make sure that I've got that on a black stroke, and I'm just going to add the weight. Now what I can do here as well is I can use my stroke width tool like I used earlier, and I can just give that just a little bit of a tapered energy, which is what I want. So this is starting to take shape, which is great. So, right, now what do I want to do? I want to get the shape tool, because I want to start making the little nicks in the side of his little cheeky grin here. So I'm going to, not do that. I'm going to grab my tool here, and I'm going to get off this stroke here. So I've got my sharped edges. I'm just going to give that a little bit of a rotate, and I'm going to just make that a little bit smaller. Now what we can do here is there's actually curves on the little grin. So what I want to do is I just want to make sure that's kind of roughly aligned. But what I can then do is I can use this corner tool, and I can highlight each of these corners like so, and then I can just bring them all in so it's got that lovely curve. And once those circles are aligned, I know I've got roughly the right shape. And I'm going to bring that over here, and then I'm just going to cheat, and I'm going to copy and paste, and then I'm just going to kind of rotate this little dude over here. Wonderful. So now we're going to go back to the pen tool, and I just need a straight line. Bosh. Up the stroke. I want those to be the same. So what again, don't move the background, James. What I'm going to do is I'm going to copy and paste this across, and I'm again just going to use this little tool here just to rotate it to where I roughly want it. And then I need to go back and get my ellipse tool. All the standard, holding shift down and all the rest of it still work like in all other tools. And the beautiful thing about this as well is you can create your own custom shortcuts, or you can use the standard shortcuts. I want that to be a little bit smaller because I want a little bit of depth. So that probably means I need that to be just a little bit smaller too, a little bit of a rotate. This is the classic designer now, isn't it? Moving pixels I don't need to move. Ayo, we're involved. Right, now I'm pretty happy with that. Let me just see if I remove this. Yeah, this is looking sweet. So the best way to build these eyes, I would imagine, I'm going to go back to my pen tool, I think, and I'm just going to do it old school. Old school. And I can change it around a little bit later. So what I can do, again, picking the node tool, I'm just going to make my tweaks as I need to here, because I don't want any kind of unnecessary pinchy bits. I want it all to look quite smooth. Just change this in the little color palette up here to a fill. And again, copy, paste. And we have, I might just make that a little bit smaller, or I'll make this one a little bit bigger, because again, I just do want a little bit of perspective going on. Maybe let's turn that around just so it looks a little bit different. Do you know what I mean? So it's not identical. Wonderful. Now, there we are, my friends. Super quick vector work for our funky, punky acid house dude. Right, now I just want to add some text around the outside. And this needs to say for creatives, by creatives. That's one of their values. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to grab the circular tool here, the ellipse tool, make a cute little circle around the outside here. Then I'm going to grab the artistic text tool here and just click there. I'm going to up that a little bit so we can see what's being written here. For creatives, I'm just going to make that a little bit bigger. Obviously, I would be changing the font, no doubt. I think that this needs to be Canva Sans because it's an Affinity one. So let's just change that to Canva Sans so it's more accurate. And as you can see here, we can easily put text on a path, which is banging. And I'll show you how all the other ones looked a little bit later. But as you see, I can move this around. I can get this rotated and put it to where I want. And I can also, when I move these little toggles around, I can flip it around, which is great. And yeah, do all the normal things that you would need to do. But just so you're aware, look at that. Text on a path. And now I'm going to show you how they all line up. In fact, before I do that, history tool. I haven't showed you the history tool. This is like one of my favorite things. Instead of Apple Z, down here, next to the assets, next to the navigator, we've got history. We've got this lovely bar. And what I can do is I can slide this all the way back to the beginning. And the beautiful thing about this is if I decided to make a change now, it actually creates an alternative path. Whereas in other tools, if I change something halfway back, all of the future stuff would be gone, null and void. Whereas in Affinity, it stays and it keeps it and it just creates an alternative path. I mean, game changer for designers. So, friends, right, what we are in now is the Pixel Studio. So what I've done is I brought in one of my sketches. Now, I love live tracing stuff because I like to always, especially for the right project, have these slightly worn organic edges to either my type or my iconography or my logo. Now, I think for these badges, these Affinity badges, I will be doing them with like the pen tool, but I just want to show you a little bit of Pixel Studio here and how you can kind of use bits and pieces within the filters and live filters to kind of just adjust your kind of your image. So here what I want to do, like if I was going to live trace, I'd probably want to up the contrast. I could delete a few bits and pieces here as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go into the pixel space up the top and I'm going to go to a new adjustment layer. And what I'm going to probably do is I'm probably going to make it black and white to start off with. Obviously, I've got all my presets down here I can mess around with, but I don't want to play with those too much. But what I am going to do is I'm going to go back up here and I'm going to, what am I going to do? I'm going to brightness and contrast because I want to up the blacks and drop the whites. So, or up the whites, drop the black. You know what I mean. I want to make it more black. I want to make it more black and a little bit more white. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to get it to a point And like you can see up here, I've been able to play with my toggles, but also I can rotate between kind of pixel view again and like vector view, which is great. So this is something that I would be fairly happy with here. So that's great. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to add another layer. I'm just going to want to add a white layer to the background, I think. So I'm going to change this to white. And then I'm going to just drag and drop this to the background, because what I'm going to start doing now is using my eraser tool, and I just need to make sure that I'm back on the background, and I can start to just delete and get rid of a few of these lines. So when I do come to live tracing this beauty, it's as clean as possible. I'm not having to delete a load of bits and bobs. Now I can use like the selection tool and bits and pieces like that, but I just wanted to kind of give you a little brief kind of look-see. Oh, look, I've gone too far there. A brief little look-see at how easy it is to do all of this and clean everything up ready for live trace. Like I said, with these particular badges, I'm probably going to go through the process of using the pen tool, but now for me, this would be a great moment to live trace because it's all ready, all right? All super duper ready. So that, my friends, is a little bit of like layer filters, cleaning up of imagery, and it's super simple. I'm happy with that. But now I think it's time to get down and dirty with the vector. Right, my friends, why don't we try a cheeky little live trace? Now I've tidied this up just to see how we go. So I've got my, as you can see here, I've got my image. I've just selected it, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to move across to Vector Studio, and I'm going to hit Vector in the top panel, and I'm going to hit Image Trace. Boom. We can see the split screen here. Obviously, I need to tidy it up a little bit, but as you can see here, let me zoom in a little bit. On the left-hand side, we have our vector, and on the right-hand side, we've got our image. And as you can see now, it is all, I can play with a few bits here just to kind of tidy it up a little bit, get those edges a little bit sharper. It is pretty good now. Obviously, I'd want to tidy this up a little bit. But now, this is all, as you can see, vector. So I can start playing around with these nodes, moving them around and tidying it up. Isn't that delicious? Right, friends, we are in the final little bit, and we are now in layout. Now, what I've just wanted to do here is just, as you can see here, I've got my final badges all locked up with their type layouts, looking delicious. But this is something that I can now present to Affinity and just kind of get across to them so they can look at with their team. But just to kind of run you through some of the key things within layout, it's all set up, Pantone, spot color, all of your most needed bits and pieces for all of your print publishing prowess. That is not easy to say, Timmy. Timmy's over there. Hi, Timmy. Say hi, Timmy.
Hi, Timmy.
So yes, it's all absolutely banging in here. But what I want to do is, I'm not going to bore you with too much of that stuff because you'll explore by yourself. But what I do need to do is I need to just add a little mock-up into this of a tee, because I haven't done a t-shirt mock-up. I've done some billboards and some app layouts, but I haven't quite done the tee. So this allows me to introduce something that will be available to all Canva Pro users, which is Canva AI, and this is absolutely banging for when it comes to creating mock-ups. So if I click on the Canva AI Studio up here, I can then add into here what I am looking for. So I'm looking for, I'm not very good at prompts. I want a white, or spelling to be fair. I want a white t-shirt, high quality version on a stone floor. Now what we can see in the options here is these little dots, and when I click this I can change my aspect ratio. Now because I've got this kind of presentation layout width format, I just need this little guy, and you can also go Ultra HD as well. So I'm going to click on that, and now I'm going to hit generate. Boom, there we go. So I have my variations down here that I can choose from. I'm looking for something, oh, I quite like that one. I don't like the creases though. Let's go with you. I like that. So we're gonna use this one, but that is perfect. It's even giving me a little prompt up here, which is wonderful. So what I want to do now is I want to take one of my, I'm going to go back to layout firstly. And what I want to do is I want to bring in one of my badges so I can show that on this tee. So down here, I've got the wonderfully weird vector here, all nicely sorted. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to copy that. I'm going to go back into my folder here, and I'm just going to paste that on here. I'm just going to shrink that down just a little bit. But as you'll see, there is a fill on the pencil banana. So what I need to do is I just need to go back to pixel, and then I can go and use my layer effect here, and I'm just going to multiply it so we can knock that white out. And then also what I'm going to do is I'm just gonna rotate it ever so slightly. Am I going to do that? Yeah, let's just kind of rotate it ever so slightly, just so it doesn't look like it's just plonked on there. I'm going to use this little top guy here, and I can move that around. And as you can see, we're back in layout, and I'm able to do all of this. And I could also just drop the opacity if I ever so slightly wanted to, just to make it not so black on there. Let's go to about 90%. So there we go. Now I've got my wonderfully weird lockup here. But again, the amazing thing is I can go straight over to vector now and start editing stuff if I wanted to. Like, oh, I want this a little bit bigger. Do you know what I mean? Because I'm in the vector studio and I can just rotate it just a little bit. Do you know what I mean? Like all of these things I can do without having to like go out, go into another program, open it up, fix the design, and come back into another program. It's all done in one app, which is just, I mean, that looks horrendous now. Do not sign that off. But my point is that you can do so much in this one app that it is just perfection. And now I feel like this might be ready to send. Absolutely juicy. So there we are, friends. I hope you found that as fun as I did. It was really nice to kind of talk you through a little bit of my process, how I've been using the app, and I hope you found it useful and maybe have found a few things that you didn't know about before. And can you believe that that is free? Did I tell you it's free? It's actually free. Still can't quite get over that, how free that is. That's absolutely mad, isn't it? Anyways, there is a Discord channel if you want to keep in the loop and share your feedback. I'm going to be back with a lot more stuff with Affinity, but just be kind to yourself, have fun, enjoy life, enjoy freeness, enjoy creative freedom at last for all of us designers. Time to be involved in the revolution. you're a part of it. Thanks for being here. See you soon.